Oh boy. Hey guys, this is What If here. It's gonna be a long video. Get some popcorn, get your juice boxes. It's gonna be a long video. There's so much just awfulness to talk about that there's just a mountain of things to talk about. And we're just gonna get right into it. So, pretty much, right when I heard that they're gonna use the R Factor engine, not the engine, but the R Factor stuff for the game, I was already kind of very skeptical, just because, from everything I heard and read up on, the oval stuff just wasn't really good. It was very questionable at best, and the road course racing was its strong suit. It was built for that type of stuff. But the ovals were kind of a nightmare. And funny enough, in the final game, the ovals are definitely egregious in so many ways. I mean, I have a list here on my notepad of just the things wrong or things that just don't add up and everything. And one of the biggest things is the difficulty varies from track to track. It's just, you need like a Google Doc chart to properly play the game or something, which track combination difficulty to figure it out. Because sometimes extreme is just you run last and then you go to champion and then you absolutely obliterate the field. Darlington is one of those examples. I'm sure there's many other ones. It's just I don't have 80 hours to put in all that time to figure out all these combinations. It's very tedious, not fun at all to try to test this out. And really, when I was playing this game, I felt like I was more like beta testing it and everything. It was it's just a nightmare, and it's still like that. But I mean, I got the game for free, but that's not going to change my opinion on this game. Like, that's not going to change anything. There's just so much comically wrong. It's just incredible. When this game was sent out to content creators on the 18th of October, it was a shitstorm of godly proportions. I mean, everyone across the board, when they're playing the game, just at times just simply couldn't play it. I mean, it was laughable. It was just purely just laughable. You couldn't turn the steering assist off. So if you had on low, people first off tried to use low, and it was just almost impossible, because you go through the corner and the car would just turn right on itself. The car just wouldn't even control itself properly, and which makes no sense. I mean, even way back in NASCAR 08 and 09, like, the steering assist didn't do that. The only time it would kind of feel weird is when you go off the track and you feel like it get a little tighter. But it wouldn't be like it would jolt you to the right or left and just do whatever. Like that. It was atrocious. So that was just a pure, just utter nightmare. But that's just one. That's just one of them. It did get fixed in a patch. So that's good. It's just the state that this game was in, and the pure just levels of denial people were in, thinking like, oh, this is just early access. People are gonna, get the game, and they'll be able to fix it. There was no fixing it. There was a mountain, so much wrong, and it just sometimes just wouldn't even play. It wouldn't work. People would have their games crash. Shieldouts had like a 9.5 hour pit stop loop where he just left the stream and came back and it was still go. Or I think it eventually stopped, but 9.5 hour pit stop loop, or the AI doing the speed glitch where they go, or where you like stop and they just plow right through you and just makes any race impossible. Cautions didn't work. It would be like a 30 car pileup and still no caution. I mean, it was just in a state of just despair. And the balls on Motorsport Games to send this up to content creators like 10 days early or 8 days early is honestly absolutely crazy, because the game was not ready for any sort of condition to be released. It truly isn't. It's honestly kind of incredible. But there's that's another tangent where this whole yearly business model needs to die. It just straight up needs to die. Because clearly the devs just didn't have enough time to work on it. When you look inside like the game's like core files, Drive-Thru was able to find that it looked like they had the intention of you being able to like control your car like under caution, and also they had the ability to like have stages and stuff. But what likely ended up happening is that they had a lot of these ideas, and then they realized that it was just not possible. So they just started axing things one after the other, which gets into my next rant. Is the game has no fucking mirrors in a racing game. I mean, oh my god, it is just ridiculous. I don't even know how to explain how low the bar has been set. The fact that people, you know what's funny? People in comments and stuff are saying, oh, they must have had it toggled off. I wish that too. I really did. You know, I was thinking, like, you know, there's no way that they couldn't do, you know, not have a fucking mirror in a racing game. But they, Lord and behold, it's not there. Probably because the game just wouldn't work properly, or it would look horrible, because in the cockpit you could see like a little tiny part of it with like half your freaking eye, where you'd see like a little bit of it and it just looks like a mess. But again, why is it in the cockpit but not in any other option? Like, it's just baffling bad, like awful. God, like, it's a law in the fucking world where you need freaking mirrors. Like, I know what's interesting is most of these people that are working on this game are from the United Kingdom or from Europe or somewhere, something along those lines. And it's very interesting because it's like, how much do they know about NASCAR? Because it just makes you wonder. You know, it's just a little weird because, you know, it's like Austin made a really good point of, it's like if they were to make like a football game or like a basketball game in like, you know, U.S. basketball game and U.S. football, like, yeah. And the fact, like, the game is missing fundamental, basic things, like a mirror, like a track map, like a tire wear and fuel indicator, stages. No matter how I feel about stages, I think they're stupid, but it's a part of NASCAR. It needs to be there. It's not. Like, and I probably know why, is because, God forbid, if you have a caution, the game just throws a random number generator, and it just figures out, are we going to have a normal restart, or are the cars going to hit the wall and freak out, or what? It's just an utter disaster to have that work. And granted, in a patch, it comes out slightly more often, but again, the AI still do weird stuff or just break the game entirely. It's just a nightmare. Like, literally, I'm not even kidding. Heat Evolution is better than this. Heat Evolution can be played. It was shitty. I mean, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but I can at least play that game. There was no like gargantuan issues. It had basic features when you're racing. It had a proper functional leaderboard. I don't want to get started on leaderboard because the leaderboard seems like they're trying to do what iRacing does with the leaderboard, where it shows like cars that are nearest to you, but it always changes. It almost like as if you're on, you know, on the front straightaway, it will try to like count the drivers on the back straightaway. Or at the road courses, it flip-flops everywhere. You don't know where people are. It's just needlessly confusing. And honestly, it makes looking at the leaderboard almost irrelevant half the time, because when you look at it, it's just all over the place. Sometimes if you're in 5th, it'll show. Sometimes it might show 4th. Sometimes it'll show like 25th. It's just all over the place, and it's a nightmare. iRacing is way more consistent in that regards, where the leaderboard is generally consistent, and it will show the, you know, nearest people around you that are like a lap down or something. But they make that very clear by having like their name in red or something, or something along those lines, and the people you're racing with in like white. like something like that. But again, the leaderboard is just fundamentally broken for just trying to have basic information trying to display to the player. Tire and fuel indicator, like I said, absolutely it should be a standard. It's not a thing, doesn't exist. That's just pitiful. And the AI pit logic is atrocious. I mean, you truly cannot do a 15% race or 25% race at almost any track. I mean, it seems like the only best combination is to run a 5% race, which that's not fun. And by the time the tire wear starts to kick in, the race ends, and it's just you get blue balled essentially, and it's not fun. It's just an unmitigated disaster on so many fronts. This game should not have been released. It should not have been released in the state that it was in. I mean, when a patch notes list like a fucking Bible or a novel, I mean, somebody counted, there was 100, in the day one patch, there was 138 things that they were trying to fix. Jesus H. Christ. That's just day one. I don't know how much was in day two. Not day two, but the second patch. But, and that was another thing too. People were thinking like, all the content creators just have like an early build of the game. The game was going to be coming out in like eight more days. That was the final version of the game, essentially. We already had like the day one patch. So all the disaster, all the nightmares that this game was showing, it was real. There was no way to fix that. And I mean, the game got flamed in a disaster of proportions. People on the NASCAR 21 Reddit or something, people were finding bugs just casually, just from playing the game. Things just constantly just breaking and falling apart. Like I said, this game should not have been released. And that's another fucking tangent I want to get in. Is they charge you $60 or $90 for the Champions Edition. That from day one, when I was really not day one, but early on when they were saying what like the features of like what this game would have and stuff, I was thinking to myself, this is not worth a $60 game by any means. And you know what? I think like the next day or 2 days from then they announced like the pricing or something, and I wasn't really a fan of that because why the hell would you charge $60 or $90? And you know what? I was right, because this is nowhere near $60 game. You'll be lucky for 20 or even 15. Heat Evolution, people were saying, was like a mobile game that should have been like $10. What do we quantify that at? What do we quantify this as? Because it just doesn't work. Should it be like a $2 game or a $5 game at that point? I don't know. But what's interesting is a lot of the developers in this game, their previous works were generally like mobile games. So, they went from that to, a console. And that's another thing is, with this game, this is their first launch. I mean, no matter what you can say about CD Projekt Red, they've made other really good games in the past. This is their startup game for their company, and they fell apart. They literally just made the worst impression on anyone and everybody, and it's going to take years to recover. I mean, this is just a disaster unlike anything we've really ever seen. And I want to get back to the pricing of this game. Basically, what this game is saying is this game is more worth your money than NASCAR Heat 5, 4, 3, and 2. Yes, because those games were $50. They're saying this game is worth more of your money than those other games. But despite this game lacking basic fundamental features, the game barely working, I mean, it is just a joke. That is just a joke and an insult to the consumer. To have it be $60 or even $90. It's just absurd. Even as I'm recording this as of right now, like with the $9 game, you get like extra like DLC stuff. You can't even run the fucking extra DLC schemes. God forbid if someone pays extra money for that, and they're not even getting that. They're just getting the AI to run their like scheme appropriate things at different tracks. Like for example, if you want to run like the Corey LaJoie 7 like Alan Quickie throwback in just a regular race now, it's not there. So sucks for you. It's just an insult. It's just an insult. Like even the thing that people are charging extra money for, you can't even deliver on that. I'm sure that'll maybe change, but as of right now, on the 3rd of November, that's not really the case. So that's just sad. Jesus Christ, Heat Evolution, you could do that. Like I said, this game, the people that say that this is better than Heat Evolution have simply not played the game, have simply not experienced all the brokenness. It's objectively worse than that. Graphically, yes. I guess we can get into the positives. There's not much. Graphically, good. Sound, not bad. Career mode has nice stats. Driving mode can sometimes be okay, but other tracks it's a nightmare. That's really it. The paint booth is good. I don't want to get into the paint booth because, oh my fucking god. That was one of their first things that they were talking about with this game when it came out, is the paint booth. You're going to have a fully customizable paint booth. And, when it came out, paint booth is really freaking good. I'm no paint booth expert by any means, but I know there's a lot of people out there that really like that. And that's good. Good for them. I'm really freaking happy. It's been 6 years to have a paint booth that you can do whatever. But you can't use it anywhere else. You can't use it in your career mode. You can't use it online. It's just in race now, which is such a slap in the face again, because you have this wonderful paint booth that just has so much different things, and you can only use it in one of the game's 3 features or things you can race in. It's just a joke. It's just pathetic and just sad. It's just really unfortunate. And even their one flagship thing that they were trying to promote from day one, you can't even use it in the game for the other stuff. 1 out of 3. That's still like 70% of the game you can't use it in. It's just, oh my god. And career mode, Jesus H. Christ. Where do we begin with that? First off, the game is the career mode isn't really a career mode, it's just a glorified, season mode or championship mode. And it gives you the facade. It gives you the little hope that maybe picking a different car would mean that the attributes to it will be different. No, it's not. It's all the goddamn same. You can go in a Rick Ware racing car and still put up the same type of lap times you would do in a normal race now. There is no discrepancy. There's no difference between that car and a Hendrick car or Joe Gibbs one. There's no difference. It's just, it makes picking them pointless, and all the other extra little doohickeys with the contracts and obligation things. Like money means nothing. It goes to nothing. This is literally just like NASCAR 2011, except that game didn't try to lie to you and think that maybe you're, picking a car that's, it didn't lie to you. The game, this, there's just no incentive, and also there's no fucking incentive to do anything in the career mode, because, say, I figured this out in my career mode when I was doing Darlington. I did the race, I wrecked because lap traffic, the AI don't spread the fuck out, that's another thing. The AI don't spread out. Sometimes at Darlington there could be a 20 car clump, and it's a disaster, or there's other cases where there's a 25 car pack at Atlanta. And everything, the cars don't spread out. It reminds me a lot of NASCAR 09, where they just don't spread out, and it just makes passing impossible. Especially when they're at a track like Darlington. I spent 5 or 6 hours trying to just race around a track and try to complete it in 40 fucking laps, and it just was not possible because the AI just never spread out. It's either be patient and make a move when they're only single file, which almost hardly ever happens, or you try to make a move and wreck. It's either do nothing or and finish at the end of that tail end of that pack, or try to move up and die. which leaves you in a box where you can't do anything. It's not fun, especially when it can't spread out, and that just ruins it. The AI are also another just a pure nightmare, where sometimes if you're side by side with them, sometimes they just won't notice you're there in the corners, and it'll just run you completely off the track. Or, for example, if you're going into a corner and you have like 3/4 of the car ahead of them, sometimes they'll just kind of pinch you down, and then they'll just right hook you up into the outside wall. It's just a disaster. It's just not fun to race around the AI because you don't know what they're gonna do. You don't know if they're gonna give you room. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's ugly. It's disgusting. Heat Evolution definitely was nothing to write home about with like the AI, but it wasn't like that. It really wasn't like that. And there's, oh my god, it's just so much is wrong. Like, this fucking yearly business model needs to just die. It just straight up needs to go. Because this game clearly was not finished in this condition. It needed at least another 8 months or even a year in the metaphorical oven to be sent out to the public, because this was not ready by any means. And I feel bad for the developers. I'm not gonna shit on the developers like that, because clearly they were put in an impossible situation where there's just not much that they can do, and they're probably getting the most flack for it, and it's not their fault. It's the higher ups and the people that make the decisions. Granted, they have a yearly contract, so they are forced to make one, but at the same time, sometimes contracts are meant to be broken. If the game is being released in this type of state and condition, it's just not ethical, and it just does nothing but hurt the company, especially with this is their first game and this is people's first impressions of their games, and we get this. I mean, across the board, there's just so many things where it just doesn't function in the way that it's supposed to, or just I'm trying to play the fucking game and I can't. Oh my god, man. It's just, when I first got this game on the first night, I had like a headache because there was just so much wrong. Like, I didn't even know where to begin. I put this video off waiting for like the most recent like Xbox One patch, thinking maybe, something would change, or I was trying to make sure, like, just trying to give the game that little sliver like benefit of the doubt. And it's just not much change other than maybe cautions, and you can change the steering assist off. That's like the two major things that I've noticed. There might be other smaller ones, but that's like the two main ones I noticed. I didn't even get into the career mode because I'm rambling. I'm literally going. My brain is like melting, trying to process everything. I have a notepad here of like 40 plus different things to talk about, and I kind of hit some of them. But in career mode, what I figured out is there's truly no incentive to anything. Because, for example, this is what I was trying to get to before my dumbass messed up. But at Darlington, for example, if you have it on like extreme, you just run last. Nothing much you can do about that. But you could back out of the race, sim it, and I got 12th, and I basically finished better than where I was when I was running. So you could theoretically, no matter what, you can win one race at any point before the playoffs begin, and then just sim the rest of it, because it will count it as a normal race. It'll count as a normal race, but your AI sim will like finish pretty good. So there's like no incentive to even physically race. If you're like clearly having a bad race, or you're just running last, you could just you go back out of the game, go into the menu, sim it, and then you'll finish better than where you were running before. It's just pathetic. Remember in the Thunder games where it was kind of a big deal if you simmed it, where you wouldn't get much money, it would hurt the happiness. It would really have a negative impact on your team to sim a race. But here, it's almost praised. It's basically praised because, like I said, there's truly no incentive to even race. The career mode, the only kind of neat thing is that the statistical compilation for everything is wonderful. It's fantastic. But I didn't get a game to just look at stats. stats are wonderful icing on a well-rounded career mode, which is funny because that's all this game has. It's just icing, but there's no cake, there's no meat to the game at all. And again, it just makes racing the career mode almost just miserable because before you even go into another race, you have to think to yourself, okay, what track combination will champion be good, or will extreme be good, or will veteran be the most balanced? And it's so hard to figure that balance out because it's so radically different from track to track. It's just really hard to find that good balance. And the physics, or at least the driving model, like the car is so like on ice so much. It slides. Like I'm doing right now, I was just doing qualifying for Charlotte. This is the 550 package where it's nearly full throttle, and there's very little like tire spin or slip or slippage of any kind. And in qualifying, with traction on high, I can't even run in a straightaway. Just going straight, and the car wants to wreck. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's just like just not fun. Like, you know, sometimes you might need traction control for this track, and another one you don't. Like, there's an insane amount of combinations you need to do. Where in Thunder 04, NASCAR Thunder 03, or Dirt Daytona, NASCAR Chase for the Cup, you had it to one difficulty, and for the most part, it worked pretty well. And you didn't have like these glaring like up and down like different like issues where it just wouldn't be possible. Like the balancing of the difficulty is just atrocious here, and I don't even know, like, Heat Evolution kind of still had that same issue, but it feels like the car handles different from track to track, and half the time I feel like I'm going insane because when this game shipped, another, you know, glaring issue is the game didn't have setups, and you only had a 5 slider thing. They want to be like a sim. They want to be like a simcade, right? They want to be taken seriously, yet they don't have setups. That is just comical. Just purely laughable. And for the first 8 days before the game even came out, you couldn't even change it, so you were stuck on default, which is just atrocious because default was insanely tight, and it drove like a brick. It reminded me of NASCAR 09, and it just was just awful. It was just purely awful to even race the car. Now you can, you know, pick different sliders, but again, there's no good in between. Sometimes going up one click can make the car insanely loose. Then if you go down, like one below the default, it's a brick. There's no good in between. And I swear to God, every time you load into a track, it handles differently on the normal like default thing. I noticed this at Dover because sometimes I would load into the race and the car would feel really tight. The other times it would feel really loose. There's even no internal consistency on that basic aspect. Like, Jesus H. Christ. Heat Evolution, actually, at least you had a thing to adjust the fucking setup. Like, I thought this game would at least be better than that, but it's not. Objectively, like, in terms of just features, this game has less than that. And I was complaining about that back then in 2016. There's even no championship mode. Like, one of the most like basic shit to do. How come if we have less features in a game now than we did from NASCAR Heat 2002? That is just embarrassment. And no, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, give the company your money in hopes that, you know, maybe they can make a better game next year. No. Fuck that. Fuck that. That is not a business model you want to, you know, give your money to. That is stupid. That is just absolutely stupid. No other forms of media or other industry practices would fly like that. You know, you're not going to go and get a car and it's going to be, it barely works, and then have them say, oh, don't worry, we'll you know, they'll fix it for you. No, you want a finished product. You want to give the consumer something that's worth your money and not have this in a broken state. I cannot advise people enough to not buy this game. Do not buy this. Do not encourage this horrendous yearly business model practice. It's just horrible. And nobody should support this game. I really believe that, because we do not need more of this. Again, I wish that they just got rid of this fucking yearly business model bullshit, because it just doesn't give the developers enough time to make a game. I'm not going to sit here and wait maybe 4 or 5 fucking years to maybe get a halfway decent game. No, I'm glad I got the game for free, because I am a content creator, but I'm put in a shitty situation where this is my livelihood. If I don't make this, if I don't make videos for this game, my revenue isn't nearly going to be as high as it would if I was playing something else, because NASCAR is my bread and butter, and which is honestly kind of on my fault. 5-6 years ago, maybe I shouldn't have considered that, or did something else entirely, because now look where we're at. Look where we're at. We are now at a state where we don't even have fundamental basic things that we've had in games from like 1999. Like, we are missing some of that shit. It's just pathetic. The AI pit road stuff, the logic is impossible. You can't even do 25% races. Or the damage model, where sometimes you hit a wall and it just always blows your tire constantly. Like, I know the Gen 6 cars and their buys are shit, but every time you hit the wall, that doesn't mean you're automatically just going to blow a tire every single time. It's stupid, and it's atrocious, and it makes racing, playing the game, it's just a nightmare, because you're forced to basically almost turn everything off. You can't do tire wear. You can't do tire wear. You can't do the like pit stops, because the AI just fuck up, or the cars are like running themselves into the pit road wall, or there's like 5 or 6 cars just stopped, or having like a 5-minute pit stop. Or a yellow would come out and then they pit the very next lap. It makes racing the game and trying to simulate NASCAR in the most just simplistic way possible. Impossible. There's no way to do that, because every time you race, there's always something that goes horribly wrong. So that's why in my career mode, that's why it's only 15% races and no tired fuel. And that's why I also originally had cautions off, because it just broke the game. So in order to experience this game in a positive light, you need to be fucking perfect. You need to make no mistakes and not wreck and have yellows and different stuff like that. Like, you truly need to be one of the top like 120 best drivers and not cause problems to experience this game in somewhat positive light. And it's just the fucking fandom, the pure delusion of trying to defend this game and thinking that, it's okay. No, it's fucking not. It's not okay to release a game in this state. It is not okay to release this in any sort of condition like this. It is just pure, just blind stupidity. And again, this is a game that is not worth your money. Even if it's $20, no. Do not support this business practice. We are all unfortunately guilty of this, because we've all bought these games at some point, one way or another. And to have it be in the way that it is now is purely not right and not acceptable. And it makes me wonder, how did it get through PS4 and Xbox One like quality testing? Because they, not only does the Motorsport games have normal like quality insurance, but they also need to get approved through Microsoft and Sony. How the hell did this go through? It makes me wonder, did they even test the game? How could they even realistically ship this out with the problems that it had? Unless they just didn't care. Now, the interesting thing is when I first booted up this game, there was like an option. It was already putting me at Homestead for like a 2% race. Maybe that's what they were having the people at Microsoft and Sony test it as, like a 2% race. You can do a race, do all that, and maybe there's no problems. If you do a race quick enough, then the problems of the glitchiness and all the weird shit has less of a chance to occur, and then you can just move on. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But it's baffling that this game was released in this state. It was even approved, or even to like go past the QA for those companies. That is honestly kind of incredible and kind of embarrassing that they just simply could not have said, hey, we can't release this because this is an absolute dumpster fire. Don't fucking know. But this game is so just incompetently bad in a way, oh my god, Heat Evolution was better than this shit. Like, that's the state we are at. And now, when this game comes out next year, they're going to be saying, oh, we got mirrors, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, hell yeah, hell yeah. And we got a tire wear, we got a fuel indicator, we got stages. And they're going to be boasting that because they didn't have it before, which is one of the most basic industry standards. It's like Heat 2 all over again, where they were boasting about having a 2-player mode. Oh my god. Why? Like, the last 15 years of these NASCAR games have been fucking shit. And it sucks. I want a good NASCAR game. But, Jesus H. Christ, this is like, I know this game was going to be bare bones, but I was just hoping maybe, the AI would be decent. I was maybe having too much, even though I was really cynical and not having much hope, or even having a little bit of hope. That was still too much. My expectations were lower than the floor. It was in the pits of hell. That's how low that it was. And it still disappointed me. Like, it's just really embarrassing. I mean, Mike, I don't want to get into the online, because that, again, is the... Oh my fucking god. The online is the worst online ever. Ever. It's just unbelievable. First off, no private lobby, so you can't race with your friends. That's not going to happen. Fuck them. Right? Just F them. Then, we don't even have an option to, like, just create a lobby ourselves. Then we don't even have an option to kick people. They have, like, these matchmaking ones where it's shake and bake, and the other one. And when you do get into that, it just throws you into a lobby with multiple different people. You can't pick the track. You can't pick the race length. You can't pick if you even want to assist on or off. No race length. No way to kick people, like I said in the lobby. It is truly the worst online because it just features nothing. There's nothing there. There's no, like, there's no host. There's zero control. So, if you want to race, it's all going to come down to how the people run around you. And when this game first came out, road courses were just a joke because people would just cut it and there would be no penalties. People can go backwards and there would be no repercussions for that. It was in a state in such a disarray that I went through like the 7 stages of like grief. Like, I went from laughing and just losing my mind at the sheer incompetence of just this online to just being really depressed because this state is just pitiful. I mean, this game single-handedly just killed the online community. I mean, there was some people that still were playing Heat 5 online. And granted, there was still a lot of dumb stuff there. Not a really good way of policing the trolls, like kicking people mid-lobby. Even though NASCAR 9, we had that 13 fucking years ago. Now we can't replicate that because that's just impossible. But online in this state is a pure gamble if you're going to get a good race or not. And there's no way to monitor or police chaos. It's just a online with no rules, no repercussions. And it's not fun. And also when the game starts, at least on the console version, the screen goes black and then the race starts. So people are already wrecking before we even get to the finish line because people can't even see their fucking screen. And Steam is not much better where it shows like cars on pit road for like 2 seconds and then it puts you right into the race. Like they can't even do that right. It's just pathetic. It is just pathetic. And they want to do esports and they don't even have a proper online system. Pure joke and embarrassment on all fronts again. Like NASCAR 08, NASCAR 09, 2011, Inside Line. Well, then again, 2011 was pretty bad when the game first came out because cars would be like flipping over and stuff. But at least you can join a fucking lobby. And you can get into a lobby. The host had some kind of control. Heat Evolution was truly not that. I mean, we were literally comparing like a 1 to like a point, like a 0.5. Like, that is how low the bar has gone. We are comparing other trash online. The only positive is, for whatever the reason, the online, like when you're actually in the race, looks and plays is very stable. Cars that you see around you aren't lagging. There's no jittering. Even when they wreck, there's no like weird warping where they're going like back and forth. It's like you can see where they're wrecking to properly evade them. So in that aspect, it works. But that's not going to save online when everything else around it doesn't work. And the load times to get into these races is pitiful again, where it takes multiple minutes to even find a lobby. And based on how the Heat games were, and we've seen like how many people were like in lobbies or different like people hosting stuff, there's always people online to some extent. So the fact that it takes multiple minutes to try to find someone just doesn't make sense, because I know for a fact there's got to be more people online trying to get into a lobby. Just the load time takes forever. And at least when the game was first launched, it took multiple minutes to get into a lobby, then to actually do the race, and then the race was like 2 minutes. So say for example that whole experience from being in the lobby to completing the race, it was like a 10-minute span. 4 or 5 or 6 of those minutes are just spent just trying to get into the lobby, loading in, and then everybody readying up. You're spending more time just wading through menus than to actually race. So you're wasting everyone's fucking time. There's no snappiness to doing online lobbies or anything of that sort. The load times are atrocious. It's pitiful. It's, again, embarrassing. The game has reached new heights of being awful in ways that I just never really expected. And it's honestly kind of incredible just how bad it is. And the news for this game, the hype behind it, and the levels of information we got, because it was one of the most back and forth type of information stuff ever. Because sometimes they would show us stuff or mention about features that are pretty interesting and cool, like silly season where you can the driver swap. Okay, nice concept, but that's not going to save a game. There's like tiny little things that are like, oh no, that's cool, but that's not going to save a game where it has this much fundamental problems. If it just functioned, like if the AI worked properly, and then when cautions come out when they're supposed to, and the AI wouldn't freak out, or when you try to pit, sometimes the AI will just spin themselves out, or if you have a flat tire, sometimes your AI will just miss the pit road entirely and just not be able to pit you. Like, if some of that stuff was like just like god damn, man, it's just like, even if everything else was fine, even if all that was like normal, again, this game would be still lacking stuff beyond words, but at least it could be like consistently playable. And name a NASCAR game, and I could bet you that it's more playable than this. I shit you not. It is just pathetic. Do I even want to talk about steering wheels? This game and its optimization for wheels, again, might be the worst in a modern NASCAR game ever. There's no way to map the buttons on the controller. So if you're on the wheel, then if you want to look through a menu, you have to use your mouse. A little bit inconvenient, but nothing. Like I said, there's no way to map the buttons on the wheel. So all the buttons are just pointless. Like, even the most, it's just pathetic. It's just really fucking sad. And like, even when I load into the game for the first time, at least for me on the controller side of things, I didn't know where the hell to find a controller. But like Jesus Christ, they couldn't even do that right. It's like these people never knew what a game is. Because in any other like game, when you go into like the main menu, you go to like options, you can look at your controller and see which buttons do what. That just didn't exist. It wasn't there. So you had to figure that out in like when you're like racing, or when you pause and then look at the controllers. But at that point, you're thinking to yourself, there's no like controller thing to show what does what. So I'm just sent out there, and that's another thing too with like qualifying and like doing practice stuff. It just throws you out to the track. There's no getting your car up to speed or anything of that sort. It just throws you out, and the game doesn't tell you when you have control of the car, so it just really throws you off because there's no indication. Like one of the most basic things is like in the third games, when qualifying would happen, it would be like 3, 2, 1, and then it will go. Simple enough. Here, I mean, this is all like when you're experiencing for the first time. It throws you out with a flying lap, and it will take control of your car when you hit the line. But sometimes that transition from the AI taking control of your car and to you controlling can kind of mess you up, because it almost like jitters or like kind of, it's not like a smooth transition. It's not like, the AI's in control and then, you take control and then it's smooth. Here, it's the AI's in control and it's smooth. And then when the player takes control, it's like, doof. Well, not like the car, but like I'm talking about like a wavelength or like a bar to emphasize like what it's like, because that's not smooth. And Jesus Christ, man. And poor Disco Inferno, he is stuck in a situation where he can't even play the game. His pedals don't work, except, well, his clutch is the gas pedal, and then his gas pedal is the brake. It's backwards, and there's no way to like properly map it. So there's some people out there that just simply can't play the game right now at all, which is, again, really pathetic and really goddamn sad. And he's gonna be waiting for a patch to fix it, and I hope it does. It does. I don't know if it will. I mean, he might be entirely screwed, which is unfortunate. But that's how, there's other people like that, where they just simply can't race the game because the wheel just isn't either optimized or it just doesn't work for them. So on that front, it's a fucking disaster. Also, when this game first came out, black flags would always happen for just touching the apron. Like, it was just pathetic. So you couldn't use the dog leg at Phoenix. God forbid if you touch a curb or something at a road course, that wouldn't happen. Thankfully, in one of the patches, it did fix that. So congrats to them on that, but it should not have been in that state. We should not have experienced that game 8 days from release to be in that kind of state. That's just really sad and pathetic. But hey, they did eventually fix that, so congrats. Again, this game, like, oh my god, it's just like there's so much wrong. Like, it's just pathetic. It's so goddamn sad to be in this state. And this is where games are at now. People are going to be okay with having a shit product, but they'll think it'll be worth their investment to keep throwing money at them. Like, when will this stop? I mean, I guess it will never stop, because there'll always be simps to buy this game or buy games that are in this type of condition. And it's really unfortunate. I mean, if I was in some other alternate universe where I was a normal person and people weren't making fun of me for doing YouTube, and this game came out and I was looking at the reviews, I would not buy this game. Really, probably the only instance to be buying like a NASCAR game in that alternate universe would be like Heat 4, because that was like the only one that was like competent. All the other ones, no. But yeah, it's, oh my god, it's just, I don't even, like, there's just so much wrong. There's just just everything is just a pure fucking disaster. There's the weird car acceleration or the car deceleration. It happened to me at Daytona and Atlanta, and happens to other people where they're just racing along and the AI fucking lags like 300 miles an hour, runs you over, flips you over, and do all this other kind of crazy shit, and then a caution would come out and it would just ruin the race. You would think, just restart a race. Sometimes it just wouldn't work. Sometimes it would just it would happen again, and it would just still be an issue. Ryan, like, this game has gotten such notoriety, or at least notoriety enough to the point where Ryan Moody, who usually does Madden videos, is talking about this game or showing clips of how broken it is, which he had not done to this extent in any of the other NASCAR games. I guess that says a lot. But having bigger people like that talk about the game in the state that it's in, it gives Madden a run for its money. That's not a conversation that we should be having, where the bar has been set so low that Madden and now NASCAR 21 are like duking it out for the most buggiest, glitchy games. It's just pitiful. I think Madden still probably has the edge, but like it is a knock-up fight on who could be the biggest piece of shit game. Again, like I said before, there's no stages. One of the most, again, fundamental core aspects of NASCAR racing now doesn't have the option to have stages on or off. That's like having I guess to compare it, it's like having baseball and having no innings. I couldn't even say that right. Or having like a football game with no quarters. or basketball, where again no quarters. It's just pathetic. Again, just really fucking pathetic. And they probably again just ran out of time to try to do that. And again, that's not on the fault of the devs. They are put in an impossible situation to release this game every year. Like I said, this business model needs to fucking die. They just don't need to do this shit. Because look at the state that this game is in. Did this really benefit people? I just wish that they would release the game like once every 3 years and have like a DLC for like the other extra seasons and like schedule changes, rosters, and all that sort of stuff. So at least they can get time to, or at least more time to do that. And that's another thing. More time. This game had 2 years apparently of development, and look at the state that it's in. If this is how the game is in after 2 years, then what can they possibly do in a year for the next game? It doesn't seem like a whole lot. Maybe probably make the game a little more playable. Maybe have like 1 or 2 new added things. But again, I have no hope. I have zero hope. And I'm going to be looking at NASCAR 22 more critically than I ever have done before. Even before this game even came out, I was already pretty cynical. And now I'm even more so. Because this is why. This is why I don't have hope. Because every year we're given shit. And now it's to the point where we're comparing like a NASCAR Heat 5, which was a blatant copy and paste, but done worse. Which was like a 4 or 3 out of 10 game. Not even a 4 out of 10. It was more like a 3. But that at least functioned for the most part and was able to be played. There was some bugs, yes, but there was nowhere near the level of stuff. You had a fucking mirror. You had a track map. You had other basic shit. Or at least more so. You at least had a career where you can upgrade the team and do other sorts of stuff. Heat Evolution fucking had that, by the way. It was bare bones. It was very basic, but you had that. You can do race lengths. Or you could do like times, fuel, and tire wear for yourself and the AI. And granted, it would not be perfect. There would still be issues with the AI pit strategy. It would be stupid. But you had the option to like adjust that. Here, it's just on or off. It's just the game just was not ready. And again, I cannot encourage and advocate enough that people do not buy this game. I don't care if I'm getting this game for free. This is not something you want to support in terms of just this business practice of having a yearly sports title or even supporting games that are in this state. It is not worth your money. Once I play the career mode and maybe do like a meme series where, like I said, I want to do like another Let's Play video where I do like a race where, or like a season where I win a race, sim the rest of it, then you do in the playoffs, and then like win a race maybe in the playoffs, and then like sim the other 2 and kind of go from there, and like just repeat, and then have it be like a 10-part series or something silly like that. Then after that, I'm done playing this game. Maybe for offline stuff, because there's no point. There's absolutely no point. Online is just a pure disaster as well. But I might do a few of them just to see what's up, but it's not going to be a weekly thing. I mean, they single-handedly killed off the online community and have really just disconnected the whole community. They just single-handedly destroyed it by having no online. So they literally nobody benefits, nobody wins, everybody loses, and it's just nothing. And again, I keep saying this game should not have been released. It just should not have been released in the state that it was in. But they were probably and likely forced to release it to appease, their bullshit yearly contract, to where they have to release a game and everything, because this is just the state that we're in with video games now. And it's just, at least with these sports titles, and it's really fucking stupid. And I wish they just abolish this shit, because it just doesn't work. And it's just the developers just clearly don't have time to fix and adjust the game to be in a stable set. And again, you're getting yearly upgrades, and it's just yearly games with slight updates and upgrades. Like that's why I keep saying 2026 or even 2025. Ooh, I'm changing it. It's not 5 years, maybe 4 years from now. We may get a game that's actually worth it, but who's gonna sit around and wait? We waited. We've gone through the same fucking cycle 3 different goddamn times with Eugenics, Motorsport, or not, 704, and now Motorsport games. When will it get better? 10 years. 10 years of these awful games. More so. I would say 15 or 14 or 13, whatever, 10 plus years is the point. Where we get a game, and it's like, oh, first year, first game, they'll fix it next time. And it never got better. I mean, inside line got a little better, but like, again, there was still so much missing and so much wrong, and it never got better. Then 704 came around, Main Heat Evolution, which was a pure testicular cancer, and each game got better. But that's because when you literally have a game that's like a 1.5 out of 10, I mean, there's not much more. I mean, you can only go higher. But this game already starts off on such a footing that's worse than that I might only give it a 1 out of 10 because graphically it looks nice and there's stats. That's like the two, and Paint Booth works. But you only can use it in 1 out of 3, I think. So even that's like kind of a blue ball teasing nonsense. It's just, I don't know how people can say this game is a 7 out of 10. Or even that's implying that this game is above average. So apparently an above average game is a game where it doesn't have mirrors, doesn't have track map, doesn't have stages, doesn't have tire and fuel wear indicators. The AI glitch out where they try to pit. You can't do long races. You can't do short races. I mean, I guess you can do short races, but you can't have tire wear. Just the steering wheel optimization is trash. The game glitches out constantly. You could barely even make a video on the game. Like, that's rich. That's really funny that, this game is not 7. It's not a 6 out of 10. It's not a 5. Because that's implying it's decent. It's not a 4. You'd be really, really hard pressed to even give this game a 2, because it is nowhere near it to be in this sort of state. Ooh, maybe by the time March or April comes around, maybe the game will be slightly more fixed and it'll be a 2.5 or a 3. Who the fuck knows? But I highly doubt it, because this rFactor engine has been notoriously known, I don't even know if that's a word, has been known to have these types of issues at ovals, where either the leaderboard glitches out or the AI just don't run the lanes that they're supposed to. This has been documented at least since back in 2016. Again, if you want to know more about the ins and outs of this game and the engine, or just how much of a shit show this is, go check out Austin Alganassi's videos. Go listen to Disco Inferno talk about it. Go watch IDK Players NASCAR 21 day 1 release video. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how I feel about... It doesn't matter what you feel about any of these people. But they, in this case, and with this game, they are right to be upset. They are right to be disappointed, because this is a shit game. And it's just pathetic. And just not fun at all. And it's just a goddamn slog to get through. Every time I do a race, I have to figure out, what combination will be the best. I gotta learn the track in such a way, because sometimes different tracks they handle entirely different. Granted, there is the 550 package and then the 750 package, but sometimes they just don't drive the same, very blatantly. Even if you're comparing other 750 package stuff to other 750 ones, or even 550 to other 550 ones, just they're never really the same in how it handles, and you have to try to figure it out. And again, you need a goddamn notebook and write down all the combinations, write down notes, and try to figure out what combination of assists plus the difficulty to even get the most possible fairest racing. And even then, it still could be shitty. It's either you could have a race where it goes really well and you destroy the field, or you can set it to extreme and then just get absolutely curb stomped and there's no fun. So there's no in between. Again, this game has no Daytona duels, no All-Star race, which has been missing in these games for the last 6 goddamn years, and it's really sad. Again, no matter how you feel about the All-Star race or the duels nowadays, these are things that are a part of NASCAR, and it's not there. Even when you go down pit road, there's no hey, the pit road is 45 miles an hour or 55 miles an hour. There's no indicator for that. Even Heat Evolution did that. Even that was still atrocious, because you try to get down pit road and you would always try to it'd always spin you and wreck you. But in terms of just notifications or just things like that, where it shows you, what, the speed limit, it doesn't even do that. So you have to know you just have to know what the speed limit is. which even as someone as a hardcore fan, I mean, I don't even know if I consider myself a hardcore fan anymore, but even the most hardcore of fans are not going to know what speed limit is what at different tracks. And like the pit stop sequence is nice, it's well animated, but again, it's just that's not going to save a game. If there were so many other positive things with the game, this would be like other, oh, that's a nice, wonderful, like little like added touch. But when you just have just sugar, it's just there's nothing else to it, and it's just, I don't know. It's like, it's not going to save a game. That I don't play a game to, again, do pit stops and be like, oh my god, that's amazing. That's worth all of my money. It's not. It's a shame because it seems like they put their priorities in so many different spots. You could drive the car around the garage area, but I don't give a shit. That's like, it's like, what's even the point of that? Like, the core racing and other things are a problem, but yeah, they were able to take time to allow you to free roam the garage area and have like really crazy attention to detail where it's accurate. That's fantastic, but that's not something I want that nobody really even expected. And it's not important. Why spend even time to code that or even design? Like, the priorities were just not in line with what is supposed to be focused on. Unless that was just one of the early things that they were going to do, because we've seen like they were going to have you have like control of the car under caution and other sort of stuff like that. So maybe they were thinking like you can drive your car in the garage, do like qualifying or practice. I don't know. And that's just one of those assets that were just left over. But again, with the finished product, you can just free roam around there, which is neat. But that doesn't. That's not what I get a racing game again for. Is to just look around the garage area. I get a racing game to race, and that's not important. It ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not important for the game. So it seems like that's the priorities of just certain things were just all over the place. Like, that's just not important or needed. Like, they absolutely needed to fix the core aspects of the AI so they actually function like they're supposed to. They shouldn't have cars going down pit road and glitching out or other sorts of stupid shit like that. Or the tire wear where you have tire wear is like your fall off is pretty good, or at least accurate, but the AI fall off so much and it just leaves this weird imbalance. And again, they pit early, and then all this sort of shit show occurs. If the yellow comes out, it might break the game. Where every time you pit, sometimes they'll pit like a lap after, and then other times sometimes the race will start and it'll just throw you in the wall, or sometimes they'll have another AI driver hit your car, blow a tire, and then you're into this like endless loop of trying to pit, and your AI will just not let you pit, and you just can't race. So there is such a mountain of just problems. Like, I could probably talk for like 2 hours about all these sorts of dumb bullshit. I didn't even get a chance to talk about the fucking spotter, which is I think it might be fixing a patch. I'm not sure, but either way, it is the worst spotter I've ever heard in a NASCAR game. Because all he says is three wide, 2 wide, and then if you're in that sort of situation, he'll just list that dialogue over and over again. So it's 3 through 3, 2 2 2 3 3 3. It's obnoxious. It's the worst fucking spotter ever. Maybe that's why Bubba's not good in the Cup Series, because the spotter raps about numbers. I don't know, but it's just awful. I think in a patch it might be fixed, but either way, even in the early test, even in the early footage, and they're showing like stuff in Texas, we already kind of saw like the spotter repeating lines a bit, way too much. Like, I'm okay with the spotter talking more, but not in the sense where it's just the same line over and over and over again, because it just gets obnoxious and it's just awful. So even on that aspect, it is like the worst ever. Also, there's needless shaky cam. And also, there's needless shaky cam, where if you touch a car, the whole screen will shake. Ooh. Or if you try to bump trap, the whole screen will shake and freak the fuck out. Why is that in the game? It's stupid. It's annoying. It doesn't need to be there. Have an option to switch it off, because that's just stupid. Especially if you're trying to like bump draft, the whole camera. All right, here's a recreation. So if you're pushing someone at Daytona and Talladega, Just a little bit, just like a normal like little touch. It's not like I'm slamming into them. It's just a little touch. This is what the camera does. This is what it does. It like fucking violently has a crazy fit. It's not fun. It's obnoxious and it's very disorienting, especially if it happens in the middle of a corner. It just really messes you. It just throws you off because the whole screen is just. It's not a freaking Jason Bourne film. But don't shake the goddamn camera like that. It's obnoxious. It's stupid. Why is that even a thing? It's so stupid. Also, the AI can't draft. Draft effect isn't applied to them. Something I learned through Austin's video. They just don't have the knowledge to like draft together, and yeah, so that's not really a thing. So at instances at like Talladega and Daytona, you could have instances where there will be like a pack of 2 cars and they're just gone, or 3 cars and they're just gone. Everybody else is just nowhere to be found, and it's spread out. It's Heat Evolution levels of like out of date, where Heat Evolution's like Daytona and Talladega stuff. It was just like Dirt Daytona, and by like 2016 standards, that just wasn't accurate anymore. And in this case, it's just not accurate, and it just doesn't really make sense to have the field spread out. And that's another track too where the AI glitches out and they'll like do their speed glitch and lag. And how do you have an AI lag in a fucking video game? In a racing game, that is again levels of just incompetence that have been like surpassed, and it's quite goddamn incredible. I already talked about like the no setups, no sliders, or the no option to adjust the setup. And again, Heat Evolution, you can adjust the setup. This game you can't. Really upsetting, very disappointing. That's not fun. Also, there's no flagman up in the thing, so they put in the resources to have wonderful fence detail, fans in the stands. That guy number 27 eating the nachos. They got that detail down, but not a flagman. Like what the fuck are we doing? Again, their priorities aren't in any sort of like reasonable state, and this is just like things that are just to get you immersed. I don't even want to get started on the goddamn pre and post race, not pre race, but the pre race stuff. I could say it's good. That's one of the positives, but it's the same stuff over and over again, and it's repetitive. Once you hear it once, it gets old, and you basically within the first day or two, you're just spent going through it, skipping through it because it's just repetitive and it's the same. They have face scans. Some face scans, the drivers look okay. The other ones look weird. Ricky Stenhouse has big lips that are like sticking out. Kyle Larson is like in an eternal shock where his eyes are open and he looks like horrified, so he's always like has his eyes wide open. Other drivers can either look okay like hurt, or other ones just don't look right. So I don't know, but yeah, different like stuff like that, or like it's just, oh my god, man, there's so much shit to talk about. I guess it's just another small thing amongst the trash heap, but at COTA and like road courses in general, if you're not starting in like that top 12 in the first qualifying session, it'll just always put you in last, effectively making all the time you did in qualifying pointless, and it's just stupid. So that's fun. Also at COTA, the AI check up a lot in turn 1 on the start. So God forbid, if you're starting last, go to the outside and ride that curb, because you go from like 40th to like 15th or even 10th in that first corner, because they check up a lot. So that's a game strat for you, because that's where you're gonna have to do with that track for now. So yeah, even the road courses where the AI are touted to be like probably the better of all the stuff in the game still has issues. Also, qualifying's kind of rigged because tracks are like a mile or longer. You get, or a mile and a half and longer. You get just one lap, but they give you the out lap. The AI will the game will throw you into that first lap, and would always start you off slow. And since you only have one lap to put in a good time, you're almost always never really going to have a good time, because you're just not even really getting up to speed in the way that you would like to, because the game has control for you. So And then since the patch came out, I've had instances where the game just takes control of my car completely, where I can just let my hands off the controller, pick my noses, and the game will just drive for me. New added feature, I didn't know that was a thing, but that's the problem when you have patches, is sometimes it can maybe fix a couple things, but then it brings up a new problem, which is why patches aren't always the go-to thing, because of that. So then I'm left in a situation where half the time I don't even know if I'm actually even racing or even qualifying properly, because sometimes the game will just have control, and sometimes I have to like restart it 3 or 4 times to just to figure out if I'm even having control of the car, because the game has no indicator for doing that, and everything. It's just a fucking nightmare. Like, so much, like, things are buggy, glitchy, broken, or just don't work. Like, God forbid, I don't want to get started on, like, the rules. Does this game even have Lucky Dog rules? I don't even think so. Again, these are, like, core, like, R-Factor, like, elements that have been issues for years, and it's very prevalent here, if not, like, more or worse. So, those are things, like, I just don't know if they can ever be fixed with this type of engine. With the R-Factor, like, engine, or not the Unreal Engine, but R-Factor, like, physics. Like, those are things, like, I don't even know if that'll ever be fixed. Because it's been like this for so many years. You know, like, just, that doesn't give me hope. It almost seems like we're always going to be dealing with AI having weird, stupid problems. So, I don't know. And it's just, there's so fucking much, man. There's so much to talk about. I'm sure even after everything I said, everything I discussed, there's probably more shit I'm missing. But, like, I've seen other videos, because I lurk around, because I always want to see what people have to think about this game, and pretty much across the board, people don't like this, but some people are a lot nicer, or a lot of people that just haven't been nearly, like, around this sort of garbage for this long. It's honestly kind of incredible. Some people, this is one of those things where, like, I wish I could be those people that, like, just, you know, put their fingers in the ears and go, nah, can't hear you, because, God, life would be kind of fun to not like think about all the sort of ramifications, all the sort of potential crap that this company's going to go through with releasing game in the state. Who knows, like, if investors are going to back out, or if Sony and Microsoft are not going to have the game on the storefront anymore, or whatever the case may be. I mean, looking at reviews across the board, it's mostly negative on Steam. Like, it's pretty bad. So I don't know what the company, like, future for this company is, but I don't know. They're in a horrible situation, and I feel bad for the devs, because it's not their fault. They're just put in a horrible situation. And it's really the higher-ups in Motorsport Games that, you know, fucked all this up. And put priorities in different spots where it just wasn't needed. Did we really need guy number 27 eating nachos? No. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but yeah. It's just really sad. It's just really unfun to play the game. It's just not good. And I think that's where I'm going to probably cap off this video, because, again, there's so much wrong. There's so much broken shit. And, like, that was just the list I had. That was like 40 things long. There's other patch notes. There are like 100 plus of issues and other smaller, like, things. Like, it's just incredible. Like, it's a goddamn travesty to have this game be in the state that it's in. And it's not fun. I don't like to be in a situation where I have to just rant. But someone's gonna call this bullshit out. And other people are kind of being really milquetoast about it, and I'm just gonna let it all. I'm just gonna throw all the cards on the floor and really just present how I feel. Get that out of my basement, because this is just unacceptable, and this shit should not be supported. This business practice should not be supported, and nobody should be encouraging this type of incompetence of just direction and just this incompetence of just shit missing. Like, it's gonna take probably multiple years to even get these games, I guess, in a state where it's worth it. I mean, they've missed out so many things. Now they have to boast about features that are common, or features that should have never even been left out to begin with. You know, I expected this game to be bare bones, but I expected it to be kind of functional, and I didn't even get that. Even if it was functional, there's still so many different things, like all the tire and fuel indicator, track map, mirror, all this other bullshit. No stages, AI pit road thing is like a nightmare. The pit strategy is like awful. So even if, like, there's so much, there's no saving this. Like, it's just a nightmare. If I were to give this game a rating out of 10, I mean, you'd be lucky if it even gets a 2. I'd be really lucky. Probably 1.5. Mainly just because graphically, it's great. Sound is good. And there's good stats. So that's like all of those are like half a point. And that's where we get the 1.5. So, yeah. That's where we're at. Maybe even less. Maybe even less than that. I don't know. This definitely changes my perspective on Heat Evolution. Because as much as that was shitty, I could play it. So, maybe Heat Evolution will now be a 2 out of 10. And this will be a 1.5. Makes sense to me. But yeah, that's it for me. I'm done. I'm pretty sure there's more shit to talk about and more other issues. But there is just a litany of nonsense. And I just honestly just really just had enough. And I'm very curious to see how they'll even dig themselves out of this damn near impossible hole that they put themselves in, because it's going to take them multiple years to get them out of that, to get these games in a state where it's actually worth maybe even half that price. You'll be shocked. Like, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know, but either way, that'll do it for me. I think I've said about everything I need to. I'm probably even still missing shit, so I'm sure there'll be even more things I'm going to be missing out on, but just do not support this game. Do not support this business practice. Do not support it. Do not encourage this type of publicizing or releasing a game like this. Do not buy this game. Stay the fuck away from it. Go. You know what's funny? I didn't even think about this too. You don't even need to buy the game to get the 2021 cars. You can get Heat 5 on Steam. Download the fan mod for 2021. And you get all the paint schemes, all of it for free. You already have NASCAR 21 Ignition, essentially, except minus, like the Daytona road course and like Nashville. But you basically have everything you need in 21 on NASCAR Heat 5. So there you go. Go buy the game on Steam, get the fan mod for 2021. You have all the paint schemes that you would need. And it has a bunch of legend drivers, a bunch of extra stuff. Honestly, it's really worth it. And considering how this game is, I think that would be a lot more better than doing this, getting 21. So, yeah, there's just no incentive. They honestly could not have released this game and that would have been fine, because there was NASCAR 21, or on Heat 5. So, yeah, that's another thing too. I didn't even forget to mention that, but yeah. I don't even know what to say. If anyone's watched this video up to this point, leave a comment saying, like, say 7 or something. Then I'll know you made it to the end. I don't know, but either way, that's it. I'm done. Have a good day, and we'll see what kind of train wreck or what the hell happens from here on out with this game. So that'll be kind of fun. So yeah. Have a good day, everyone.